So whether you're sailing a brand new boat or a boat that you've just finished a whole lot of work on, the idea of going on a shakedown cruise is an important one to keep in mind. Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and welcome to the Boat Galley Podcast. Yep, I'm talking about shakedown cruises, specifically 2 main reasons you might want to think about those as being essential. Today's episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Julie Bradley, best-selling author of 2 sailing classics, Escape from the Ordinary and Crossing Pirate Waters. Warning, these books are hard to put down. Join Glenn and Julie for off-the-beaten-path adventures in extraordinary places, claw through Force 10 storms with them, and hold your breath through pirate-infested parts of the Mideast. Julie's witty, vibrant writing takes you along every twist and turn. At times you'll wish you were there, and others you will be so glad that you were not. These books take you along for the trip of a lifetime. Find both Escape from the Ordinary and Crossing Pirate Waters on Amazon. Highly recommended. Having just recently reread Escape from the Ordinary, I think that the topic of today's podcast is one that Julie would 100% wholeheartedly agree with. The idea of a shakedown cruise. If you Google definition of shakedown, you'll see that definition number 4 is a test of a new product or model, especially a vehicle or ship. I will say that there are 2 main reasons why you ought to think about a shakedown cruise as critical. And one of those is to do a test of your new systems. And the second is to discover any new issues that you might have sort of forgotten about. The thing is, even if you have a brand new boat, you're going to find issues and you're going to find things that go wrong. So my definition of a shakedown is taking your boat out to go checking out your systems and staying close enough to home, or home, some version thereof home, that if something goes wrong, you can fix it. Meaning you have access to local resources in some way, shape, or form, whether that's getting items shipped in to an address where you can receive them, to being able to hit a hardware store, to just maybe being able to haul out at a boatyard if there's a real problem and you feel like you need to call in the professionals. By a lot of standards, Calypso is a new boat. No, of course she's not. She's a 1976 hull, and we've sailed her a number of times. But all of the major systems are new. So there might be some of you thinking, people who have a brand new boat, you might say, oh my gosh, if you've got a new boat, then everything works. Isn't that why you buy a new boat? But here are some things that we discovered on our shakedown with our brand new systems that I hope will make you consider the idea of doing a shakedown cruise, staying close enough to home to test out your systems that you can get them fixed by you or somebody else with some kind of ease. Because sure, you could decide you're going to test your new boat by just leaving to go offshore. You could. What happens if you get a day and a half offshore and you realize that your solar panels aren't charging the way you were expecting them to? That happened to us. It took us a couple of days to figure out because the solar panels are brand new and all the wiring is done and new, and Jeremy did it all. But the first time you're doing something, you do the best you can, but then you may have to tweak as you go along. So Jeremy spent at least one morning before we left the anchorage going underneath the back of the boomkin to rewire things on the solar panels so that they were charging the way we wanted them to. That's something that would not have been fun to be doing offshore at all. Really nice to do that a little bit closer to home. With a new main and the new mast that we have, there are a couple of new sails that we have. And as we were flying them, we realized, okay, we set up some lines and we need to get new lines. Actually, initially we went and we hadn't even set up the pole to be able to use it. And I think the 3rd day that we were sailing, we said, oh, let's play with the pole. And we realized, whoops, we don't have the line that we need. So it was really great when we got to our first stop to be able to go and get line that we wanted to make the pole work. Those are small things. And sure, you might have thought that we would have remembered all of them, but we didn't. And sometimes even if you have a brand new boat, there will be things that got forgotten or overlooked or didn't get tightened. And if you take a smaller cruise, a small, short, local in quotation marks, whatever that means to you, cruise, being able to go into an anchorage to fix something, go to a place where you can get mail, go to a hardware store, or we didn't need to do this, but I know of people who go out on a cruise and something major breaks the first time they take it out. And being able to get into a boatyard and a marina facility where they can get it fixed was critical to making the long-term success of the cruise actually be successful. If this first thing is to test your new systems and to make the tweaks that you want to do and to get familiar with whatever those systems are, one of our other new systems was a whole brand new windlass and a new anchor, and learning how to deploy the anchor using the windlass and what kind of tricks we needed to do with the new anchor. That was lovely to be able to do in anchorages where it wasn't blowing hard. So by the time we got to places where the wind was a little bit stronger and the protection perhaps a little bit less, we were more well versed in how to use our anchor and windlass system together to make our anchoring flawless. Well, flawless might be overstating it, but to make it so we weren't worried about dragging. Nice thing to do. And in deploying our anchor with our chain, we realized there was something else we'd forgotten to do. We had forgotten to mark our chain. So at the first dock that we took care of that at the first dock that we came to after we were done with Hurricane Henri, and we went out and went down a little bit, and we realized that our sail, there's a mail drop kind of a thing. We had a new sail that was being shipped to us. We were able to get it sent to a place where my brother is, and we went into a marina, and we were taking advantage of being at a dock, not worrying about a hurricane this time, but being at a dock, and we laid out our chain and marked it. New system, tweaks to the new system, fixing things that we had forgotten about or overlooked. Really an important thing of doing a shakedown cruise is taking care of those tiny little things like that just make your life a whole lot better. And another reason to do a shakedown is, of course, to identify issues to be addressed. For us, certainly a couple of those really involved leaks. And one of the big ones is we had not removed our chain plates to rebed them. I don't think really had crossed our minds to necessarily do that, but it became pretty clear the first time we were hard on starboard tack that actually we had leaking chain plates. So we did a very quick fix, but we've identified the fact that when we haul out for the winter, we're actually going to remove the chain plates and do the right job with rebedding them so that they're good to go for another, 10 years or something like that. Shakedown cruises feel a little bit like you shouldn't have to do them. Either you've got a new boat or you've got a boat that you have done a whole lot of work on and things are new. But a shakedown is a place for you to get to know the boat, to get to be comfortable with the systems that are there, to try out things in a time period that's not demanding of you. If you read Julie Bradley's book, it's one of the things she talks about as a lesson that they had learned. I don't think she uses the term shakedown specifically, but they got their brand new boat and immediately left to go sailing. And she does say that it would have been better if they had spent a few months just sailing her locally, getting to know her, and being able to have access to resources both in terms of stuff but also in terms of information from the place where they bought the boat. Everything was fine. The boat was great. They talk about how amazingly strong the boat is that they bought, but their whole cruise might have felt less worrisome if they had done a shakedown in the very beginning. For us, as we are wrapping up this shakedown, I'm recording this a couple of days before we haul out for the winter again. It's sad to us that our shakedown is over, but the fact that we did a shakedown means that we can focus hard on the things that are important to do to the boat before we leave to go on a longer term, further destination cruise, which is in the plans in 2022. I hope that your shakedowns are totally successful and that when we share an anchorage, we can all just toast our good fortune to having gotten there on the steam of our own boats. Thank you for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. We love hearing from our listeners. We love it when you share us with your friends, and we love it when you subscribe, because if you do, you'll never miss an episode. Have the most spectacular week.